Most people think the danger is loud. They think it comes with warning signs, sirens, and headlines. But the truth is, what's coming doesn't announce itself. It creeps in quietly. It shows up disguised as comfort, distraction, and delay. And by the time most people realize something has changed, it's already too late. See, the next season of life isn't going to ask if you're ready. It's going to demand proof. We are entering a time where excuses will expire, where motivation won't be enough to carry you through the pressure, where talent alone will not save you. What's coming will test discipline, consistency, and character in ways most people have never trained for. And that's why most people will not survive it, not because they're weak, but because they stayed comfortable for too long. Survival won't look like strength anymore. It will look like endurance. It will look like waking up when you don't feel like it, showing up when nobody is watching, preparing when others are scrolling, complaining, or waiting for clarity. The future doesn't reward potential. It rewards preparation. And preparation is lonely. It's boring. It doesn't come with applause. That's why so few people choose it. What's coming will separate those who built habits from those who built opinions. Those who trained their mind from those who entertained it. Those who learned how to stand alone from those who always needed reassurance. Pressure doesn't create character, it reveals it. And when things get heavy, the mask falls off. You won't rise to the moment. You'll fall to the level of your preparation. This isn't fear. This is a warning wrapped in opportunity. Because while most people are unprepared, a few are quietly getting ready. A few understand that hard times don't destroy everyone, only the ones who ignored the signs, the ones who thought tomorrow would be easier than today. It won't be. So if this message feels uncomfortable, good. That means you're awake. And if you're still listening, that means part of you knows you were meant to prepare, not panic. The question isn't what's coming next. The real question is who you're becoming before it arrives. Imagine this for a second. Nothing bad is happening in your life right now. Bills are manageable. Food is on the table. You're not in pain. And that exact situation is what's quietly putting most people in danger. Because comfort doesn't feel like a threat. It feels safe. It feels earned. It feels like you finally made it. But comfort is the most patient enemy you will ever face. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't scare you. It slowly convinces you that tomorrow can handle what you avoid today. Comfort whispers lies that sound reasonable. You worked hard. You deserve rest. You'll start when you feel ready. One more day won't matter. And the scary part is, none of those lies feel wrong in the moment. That's how comfort wins. It lowers urgency. It numbs hunger. It turns discipline into something optional instead of necessary. While you're getting used to things being easy, the world is quietly getting harder. Look around and you'll see it everywhere. People with talent who stop training. People with dreams who stop showing up. People who once had fire, now settling for routine. Comfort doesn't destroy people dramatically. It makes them softer, slower, less alert. And when pressure finally arrives, it feels unfair, sudden, overwhelming. But pressure didn't come out of nowhere. It came to collect on years of comfort. The future won't be gentle with people who never trained for discomfort. When systems change, when competition rises, when excuses stop working, comfort-built habits collapse fast. That's why so many people break, when things get difficult. They never practiced being uncomfortable on purpose. They never woke up early when they didn't have to. Never pushed when nobody forced them. Never prepared for storms during sunny days. Comfort creates dependency. You start needing perfect conditions to perform. Good mood, right timing, support from others. But pressure doesn't care about your conditions. It shows up uninvited. And the people who survive are not the most talented, but the most disciplined. The ones who trained when it was boring. The ones who chose effort over ease when nobody was watching. This is why comfort is dangerous. Not because rest is bad, but because staying comfortable too long kills your edge. Growth lives where comfort ends. Strength lives where excuses stop. And the people who understand this early don't look impressive at first. They look obsessed. They look unnecessary disciplined. They look uncomfortable by choice. Until the world shifts and suddenly they're standing while everyone else is asking what went wrong. Let me hit you with a hard question right away. What happens to you when your plan stops working? Not when it's slow, not when it's uncomfortable, but when it completely fails. Most people have never rehearsed that moment. They build their life around one version of success, one routine, one identity. And when the world changes, they don't adjust, they panic. That's the second big separator most people don't see coming. The next phase of life won't reward people who are rigid. It will reward people who can adapt under pressure. But adaptation is not a skill you suddenly unlock when things go wrong. It's a muscle you build long before the crisis arrives. Every time you refuse to learn something new, you weaken it. Every time you say, "This is just how I am," you shrink it. And one day, when change demands flexibility, you realize too late that comfort made you stiff. Most people confuse consistency with stubbornness. They stick to habits that no longer serve them just because they feel familiar. They defend old methods even when results disappear. They hold on to titles, routines, and identities that the world has already outgrown. And instead of evolving, they complain. They blame technology. They blame people. They blame timing. But deep down, the real issue is fear of starting again as a beginner. Survivors think differently. They understand that reinvention is not failure, it's intelligence. They stay curious even when they're experienced. They stay students even when they're respected. They don't tie their worth to one role or one outcome. That's why change doesn't break them. It sharpens them. While others freeze, they pivot. While others argue with reality, they adapt to it. The future will punish people who refuse to update themselves. Skills expire. Mindsets get outdated. What worked 5 years ago may slow you down today. And what scares most people is not hard work. It's learning again, looking foolish, being slow at something new. But that discomfort is the entry fee for relevance. And those who refuse to pay it quietly fall behind. Adaptability also means emotional control. When plans fail, panic spreads fast. But the people who survive are calm enough to think clearly. They don't collapse when expectations break. They don't waste energy complaining. They immediately ask better questions. What can I learn? What can I change? What's still in my control? That mindset keeps them moving while others stay stuck explaining why it's unfair. This is why the next phase will expose people who stop growing. Because growth is not optional anymore. It's survival. And the ones who stay flexible, humble, and disciplined won't just survive what's coming, They'll quietly rise while everyone else is trying to figure out why nothing works the way it used to. Let me start with a warning. Most people scroll past too fast. What's coming next will not destroy people loudly. It will quietly expose who never built inner strength. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it reveals it. And the third truth most people aren't ready for is this: when life gets heavy, your habits will speak louder than your hopes. You won't rise to the level of your dreams. You'll fall to the level of what you practiced when no one was watching. Most people train only when things are easy. They work hard when motivation is high, when results are visible, when encouragement is available. But the future doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't pause because you're tired. The people who survive what's coming are the ones who built discipline during calm seasons, because discipline is the only thing that shows up when motivation disappears. Here's where the separation gets real. When pressure hits, some people look for comfort, distractions, and shortcuts. Others lock in. They simplify. They double down on the basics. They don't panic, scroll. They don't complain publicly. They don't waste energy explaining their pain. They get quiet and focused. That ability to stay grounded when everything feels unstable is not talent, it's training. Mental toughness isn't about being emotionless. It's about being controlled. It's about feeling fear and still moving. Feeling doubt and still showing up. Feeling overwhelmed and still doing the next right thing. Most people break not because the situation is impossible, but because they never learned how to sit with discomfort without running from it. The next phase of life will demand endurance more than excitement. Quick wins will be rare. Validation will be delayed. And if your confidence depends on applause, you'll quit early. But if your confidence comes from knowing you can keep promises to yourself, you'll last longer than most. That's why the future belongs to people who can suffer quietly without losing direction. This is a moment to check yourself. Are you building strength or just consuming inspiration? Are you preparing or just hoping? Because hope without structure collapses under pressure. Discipline without noise survives storms. And if this message is making you uncomfortable, that's a good sign. That means it's working. If this is hitting you where it needs to, don't just nod and move on. Let this message travel. Tap that like button, like you're agreeing with your future self. Share this with someone who thinks they're ready, but hasn't trained for pressure yet. And if you want reminders like this that don't hype you up but level you up, lock in with the channel by subscribing. Because what's coming won't ask if you're ready. It will only reveal whether you prepared. Let me grab your attention with something most people won't admit out loud. The future doesn't reward comfort, it punishes it. And point number 4 is this: adaptability will decide who moves forward and who gets left behind. What's coming next will not look like what worked before. And that's where most people lose. They keep trying old habits in a new world and then wonder why nothing works anymore. Many people break not because they are weak, but because they are rigid. They fall in love with routines that once saved them, opinions that once protected them, identities that once felt safe. But growth demands flexibility. The ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn is the real survival skill. Those who survive are not always the strongest or the smartest, but the ones who can adjust without losing discipline. When change hits, Some people complain that life isn't fair. Others get curious. They ask better questions. They study. They upgrade. They don't romanticize the past or blame the system every day. They accept reality quickly and then move with it. That speed of acceptance is power. The longer you argue with reality, the more energy you waste that could have been used to adapt. Here's the uncomfortable part. Adaptability requires humility. You have to admit you don't know everything. You have to accept that your way might not be the best way anymore. That hurts the ego. And most people would rather protect their ego than protect their future. That's why they stay stuck, repeating the same year in different clothes. The people who win next are learners for life. They read when others scroll. They listen when others argue. They build skills while others build excuses. They understand that change is not an enemy, it's an invitation. An invitation to become sharper, wiser, more capable than yesterday. Adaptability also means emotional control. You can't evolve if every inconvenience breaks you. You can't adjust if criticism shuts you down. You can't grow if fear controls your decisions. The future belongs to people who stay calm in chaos, curious under pressure, and focus when everything feels uncertain. And listen carefully. This isn't about moving fast for the sake of speed. It's about moving smart without freezing. It's about taking imperfect action instead of perfect hesitation. Small adjustments made consistently will always beat dramatic changes made once. If this message is opening your eyes, don't let it stop at awareness. Let it spread. Hit the like button so this truth reaches someone still resisting change. Share this video with a friend who's holding onto the past too tightly. And if you want more messages that don't sugarcoat reality, but prepare you for it, subscribe to the channel, because the people who adapt early don't panic later. They lead quietly while others are still asking what went wrong. Before you hear anything else, hear this clearly. What's coming next will not destroy people because they are incapable. It will expose them because they are undisciplined. Point number 5 is simple but brutal. Self-discipline will be the final line between those who survive and those who collapse under pressure. Talent might open doors, intelligence might give options, but discipline decides who stays. Standing when things get uncomfortable. Most people think discipline is about punishment. It's not. Discipline is protection. It protects your future from your moods. It protects your goals from your excuses. It protects your identity when motivation disappears. Because motivation will disappear. It always does. And when it does, only discipline keeps you moving. The people who make it through what's coming don't feel strong every day. They act strong even on days they feel weak. Here's why this matters now more than ever. The next phase of life will demand consistency, not intensity. Anyone can push hard when fear hits. Anyone can promise change when things fall apart. But discipline shows up quietly before the crisis, not after it. It builds routines while others wait for wake-up calls. And when pressure arrives, disciplined people don't panic, they execute. Most people lose because they negotiate with themselves too much. They wake up tired and ask how they feel. They face resistance and ask if it's worth it. Discipline doesn't ask those questions. Discipline already decided it removes debate. And removing debate removes delay. That's why disciplined people move faster, even when they move calmly. What's coming will reward those who can say no to comfort daily, no to distractions, No to shortcuts. No to emotional decisions. Discipline is choosing the long-term win over the short-term relief, again and again, when nobody is clapping and nobody is watching. That's why most people don't build it. It's lonely, it's boring, and it works. Self-discipline also builds confidence the right way. Not the loud, fragile kind that needs validation, but the quiet kind that comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every disciplined action is proof. Proof that you can be trusted, proof that you can endure, proof that you can finish. Over time, that proof becomes unshakable. And understand this, discipline compounds. One small decision today strengthens tomorrow's identity. Miss it once, and it gets easier to miss again. Keep it once, and it gets easier to keep going. That's why the future belongs to those who train themselves now, not later. If this message is hitting deep, don't scroll past it like entertainment. Lock it in. Show support by tapping the like button so this reaches someone who's about to quit too early. Share this video with someone who needs discipline more than motivation. And subscribe to the channel if you want more truths that prepare you for reality instead of comforting you, because what's coming next won't ask if you're ready. It will reveal whether you trained for it or not.